Hello, I'm David Kerr, Professor of Cancer Medicine at University of Oxford. I guess I've spent a clinical academic lifetime producing what I think is high quality research through our basic research in the biology of cancer, but through a large pragmatic clinical trials, particularly around colorectal cancer, my favourite tumour type, one might call it that. What I've never done though is examine the evidence practice gap. So I do a large trial, it's a 7-year experiment, I write up the results, I publish it in a high quality journal, and I think that my job is over. It's not. The gap between me providing what we hope will be practice changing evidence and its uptake is highly variable, and this evidence practice gap seems to be getting wider. And there's again a provocative article published recently in The Lancet asking for improved funding for research that closes that gap, for us to understand better what the delays are, what the barriers are to uptake of practice-changing clinical trials. If we sort of look at implementation research, this is formative research in which it's possible to make a definitively academic study as to what the gaps are. These include acceptability, adoption, appropriateness of the new treatment, the advanced treatment for any particular population in any particular country, cost, feasibility, fidelity, reach, access, and of course sustainability. And linking this with the sort of service outcomes that are usually embedded as endpoints in a clinical trial: effectiveness, safety, and equity. So if I believe that my job is done when I make the publication, nothing could be further than the truth. And I think what this paper describes is a call to the funding bodies to take this form of research much more seriously. If we're ever to close the health equity gap between rich and poor, then these are some of the elements of work that we need to do. And this covers the entire spectrum of cancer control, prevention, screening, therapeutic intervention, and so on. That unless we focus more on this sort of level of formative research, unless it's funded, then the health equity gap, the gap between evidence and practice, will grow ever wider, and the academic work that we're doing will become less relevant and more marginalised. So it's a call to action, a call to arm to funding bodies to say, how is it that we can actually do better to pull the investment levers on implementation research, particularly in oncology in our own field. I think it's something that should be supported. I think that something that we should consider training a new generation of young researchers. I think it could be particularly important in low and middle income countries, in which the pressures of adoption of new treatments are much, much higher. The barriers to entry of new gadgets, new drugs, etc. are much higher. And therefore that would be a fascinating place for us to be able to start and to grow this movement on implementation research. Please have a look at the article. I hope you've had a chance to listen to what I've had to say, and I'd be really, really interested in your comments. I think it's something that needs to be taught. I think that we need to divert resources to it, and I think that it could become equally as important an academic discipline as those of us who are involved in delivering clinical trials, basic insights to cancer biology, and so on. So have a think about it, have a look, and I'll be really keen in any comments that you might make. As always, Medscapers, thanks for listening, but for the time being, ahoy and over and out. Thank you.